Hey everybody, Brian Von Vier here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories, and today we're going to be talking about, yet again, another moment where DMs have just straight up crashed. They just totally shut down in the middle of a situation because you, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, broke them. So, what's your funniest dungeonmaster.exe has crashed moment, part 5, and if you have a moment to share, do so in the comments below. I have one from a campaign I'm running and one from a campaign I play in. This first one was from my campaign set in my homebrew world of Envora. Back when we first started, one of my players was playing Leonidas, Leonin Barbarian. I say when we first started because he had a class change once they hit level 6 due to some backstory things. Leonidas was known for, well, being a barbarian. Thinking with his fists rather than his brain, doing whatever the first thing that popped into his head was, things like that. One of these instances was nearly responsible for a TPK. Being a Leonin barbarian, he had really fast movement speed. At the time, the party was level 5. Most of the party had a 30-foot walking speed. The barbarian had 45. So, when the party was getting ready to leave where they were staying, he turned to the group and said, "I'm going to run ahead and keep an eye out for things," and then ran a mile ahead of the party. My brain opened up the escape hatch in my head and jumped into the nearest wastebasket. So, he ran ahead, past a swamp which was written as a very high-level area. This swamp in particular had a number of nasty creatures living within it, including the deadly CR8 Razor Claw, which could have easily one-shot any member of the party at that point. Think along the lines of a Deathclaw from Fallout, but with green scaly skin and a 60-foot swimming speed with multi-attack, with 2 poison claw attacks and a bite attack, which each average about 28 damage. Oh yeah, and that poison from the claws paralyzes a creature for an hour on a failed con save. Not to mention, those monsters were predatory hunters, who specifically preyed on small groups or individual travelers. So he runs past the swamp, attracts the attention of 5 of these things. Luckily, they're slower on land than they are on foot, so he outruns them as he heads back to the others. And he, for once, does the sensible thing, letting the others know about the danger. So they manage to avoid the encounter by riding past the swamp in their wagon at full speed, and dodging the 60-foot tall tree the 20-foot tall CR-15 Alpha Razorclaw threw at them. The second story happened yesterday. If I had to give this story a descriptive name, it would be Edward Scissorhands Dispels the DM's Brain. Or alternatively, Bards are bullshit. I think we can all agree on that one. In this campaign, I used to play my wizard, Delkesh, the former king of Damara, long before the campaign started, but then retired him to play my cleric, Dova. After the second arc of the campaign, Delkesh became our quest giver for the third arc. We traveled to Damara to meet with him, and he gave us a quest to go into neighboring Narfell and disrupt their military actions against Damara, as well as to find out if Narfell was working with Cyric cultists to try to unearth one of the 7 keys to Cyric's prison. We've been in this village just inside Narfell territory for a few days, causing some turmoil among the soldiers there. And in our last session, we'd gone out into the woods beyond where the soldiers were encamped and ambushed a number of their patrols with traps and such. Not to mention the frightful sight of encountering the tabaxi in our party, who worships the god of death and goes full-on cursed pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean when the sun sets. We also let them see a couple of our characters disguised as soldiers from their own army kill a few of their compatriots. This was intended to sow seeds of dissension in the ranks and throw suspicion as to who was behind the activities away from the townspeople. In order to make the events even more traumatic, our blind monk Adrian, together with our bard Voth and our paladin Baldrine, went to the infirmary the next day to get information from the survivors to help with the investigation. And of course, Voth disguised himself as a medieval Edward Scissorhands, minus the actual scissors for hands, of course, to pose as a Ghost expert, ooh. Voth, as Edward, explained to the officers in charge. It seems like the vengeful spirits of soldiers long past have been disturbed. They are angered by your presence. The three of them were then allowed to go into the infirmary, where Voth then cast programmed illusion to make horrified whispers and the sounds of screams play in people's minds anytime they breathe near the head of any of the beds in the infirmary. People started freaking out and trying to run, turning the whole scene into utter chaos as men with broken arms, broken legs, and various other injuries re-injured themselves out of sheer terror from what they were hearing. Even the nurses and doctors started to hear the whispers and were soon driven to the point of near madness. Edward quickly exclaimed, "I must exorcise the spirits at once!" and ran around the room frantically placing and lighting candles everywhere, which was quite a feat considering all the people running and flailing about. All this time, the DM was just rolling with it and describing the fear and trauma this bard was inflicting on these survivors of the attack that we had made that put them in the infirmary in the first place. And then Voth's player went, "So after I light all the candles, I'm going to mutter some crazy words and cast a spell of magic on the programmed illusion to make it stop. DM.exe has stopped working. Please restart your session." The DM sat in silence for a moment before continuing, "Oh, you asshole. That's brilliant. I hate you. I hate you so much, but that's brilliant, and it's gonna fucking work. They're all gonna think you exorcised the spirits, at least for now, and they're gonna believe everything you say about there being spirits in the area now. You bastard." Our DM has a love-hate relationship with our group, mostly because we're the most chaotic assholes on the planet. Oh, we're not evil, we just, we don't know how to make a plan that doesn't involve utter chaos and confusion. We're basically a group of Deadpools. Also, that last little bit was so creative and so inspiring. Ooh, I need to hear more. I really need more of this. DM made a femboy kingdom. Then I mentioned that he had to voice said femboys. It was like that moment in Ratatouille when the chef reads the letter with increasing concern. He then stuttered for a few seconds before finally regaining his composure enough to admit that he'd just dug his own grave. I was the DM. Campaign was just starting. Players are set up to meet an important PC, but are soon informed he is dead. Dun dun dun. Players went completely off the rails from what I had planned and eventually broke into the embalming facility to find an empty coffin and reveal a plot point intended for many sessions later. Pretty much ran the rest of the session on improv. They even managed to rescue the master embalmer, who wasn't even intended for the campaign. Just goes to show how important it is to have a list of NPC names at the ready. Finale. Level 15, Session 16. We made the DM.exe crash nearly 4 times. The big bad evil guy had both the Orb of Chaos and the Deck of Many Things. The Orb allowed him to control fate, to re-roll any chance to the result he wanted, including d20s, damage dice, and whatever cards he draws from the deck. However, the Chaos Squared was creating instability in the planes, and a rift directly to Cthulhu was threatening to open. We had an Orb of Law, which could negate via proximity and unleash the Orb of Chaos, as well as undo all the chaos the 2 items caused. But before we could undo the damage, we would need to retrieve the Orb of Chaos from the evil sorcerer, Big Bad Evil Guy. The DM planned for us to fight our way through his keep, past our rival party, and end in the Big Bad Evil Guy's throne room with his iron golem guards. I called in a favor from the merged orc tribe from 3 sessions back for them to join us in the final assault. DM.exe has crashed. Restarting. I then used my familiar to signal the orcs when to attack. As we snuck up the cliffs, prepared the last of our dust of invisibility from session 2, and used a broom of flying and a bag of holding to crash through a window and take the big bad by surprise. DM.exe has crashed again. Restarting. Halfway through the fight, when the iron golems were defeated, the big bad was in an invulnerable globe, and neither group could hurt the other. We decided to trap him inside a force cage the moment the globe dropped, as well as break the bottle he gave us from session 11 inside the cage with him. The one that we didn't know contained an angry Efreti. Oh boy, DM.exe has crashed for a third time. Restarting. After that, we beat the big bad evil guy and undid all deaths and effects related to the deck, including reviving the big bad and undoing the balance card he drew during the sorcerer's backstory. At this point, the DM.exe almost crashed a fourth time. So, a moment like this happened about 2 days ago. It wasn't during a session, but during character creation for an upcoming campaign. My DM made us roll a D100 for lineage, lower being better or more powerful higher class. I rolled a 1. My DM then stuttered for a full minute before falling silent. With me rolling a 1 on that D100, my character is the great-granddaughter of a divine spirit. The entire party erupted in laughter, and my DM was extremely frustrated. And now the game is hopelessly broken because, well, the great-granddaughter of a divine spirit, aka God, perhaps walks among us again. So cool, though. This was right at the beginning of the campaign. I had found myself in a party of murder hobos who had lied about their murder hobo tendencies to get into a campaign. The barbarian was at the bar and ordered a drink and a meal. When the DM, as the bartender, told him how much it cost, the barbarian flew off the handle about the fact that he had to, lo and behold, pay for his food. Holy hell, what a concept. He got into an argument which very quickly resulted in the barbarian saying, "I'm gonna kill the bartender." Well, this can't go well. The DM had to put things on hold to first explain to the player that just because you don't want to pay for something doesn't mean you're going to be committing murder. That, of course, didn't get through to the player's head, and the DM put himself on mute so he could figure out a way to make sure the barbarian didn't kill the nice bartender. His solution ended up being recycling a character he'd played as a PC in a previous campaign. And the barkeep turned out to be a 20th leveled retired paladin who kept his battle axe, or was it a warhammer? I don't remember, behind the bar for situations such as this. Later that session, we ended up getting banished from the entire town, all due to my party members' bad behavior. This was the same party I set on fire because they were putzing around with a bunch of goblins and refused to listen when I told them to get out of the room I was going to cast Fireball in. Sounds like a whole bunch of fuck around and find out, if you ask me. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, to ring that bell, and of course, to be sure to comment. Yes, that's right, comment down below with your own stories or instances where you, or maybe a fellow party member, or anybody that you know, has made the poor dungeon master crash and burn. And of course, come say hi to me, Brian Von VA, because, hey, I love you, and Mr. Ripper loves you, and we are both here for you, and we love making content for you, and we love both hearing anything that you can and anything that you will share with us. We really do. We read the comments all the time in search of new stories, and in my particular case, just to make sure that everybody out there is doing A-okay, which brings me to my last point, which is obviously the positive little bit at the end, and I just want to say I hope everybody's doing all right. I've been going through a plethora of things in my life lately, and I have been improving and increasing my status as a person as much as possible. And through that, I just want to say that I really hope that everybody out there listening in, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, anyone and everyone in between, hope all of you are doing much of the same. So take your time with life, be safe out there, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.